Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first... there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You are now entering the Stone Zone. What is better than New York at Christmas? The Christmas tree lighting at Rockefeller Center, followed by dinner at the Old 21 Club, skating in Central Park, the Oyster Bar underneath Grand Central Station, the once great Waldorf Astoria, a great place to go for cocktails, all now gone. I really love New York, but I miss the old spots. I was heartbroken over the fact that because of a schedule conflict, I couldn't go to the Italian-American Civil Rights League Christmas celebration, which took place in Little Italy in New York City. I'm one of the founders of the group. If you're interested, by the way, in fighting to protect Italian culture, heritage, and the great contributions made to America by Italian Americans and oppose anti-Italian American bias, you can go to IACRL.org, Italian American Civil Rights League.org. It is a nonprofit. There's no staff, there's no overhead, nobody's making money on this. This is everyone involved is a volunteer working to preserve the great contribution made to America by Italian Americans, fighting to those who would take down statues of Christopher Columbus and others who would ignore the great contributions made to this nation by Italian Americans. I hated missing that. I will most definitely be there next year. This week brought the shocking news, not all that shocking to some of us, from Georgia, that there is now absolute proof that there were 315,000 completely illegal ballots that were counted in the Democrat stronghold of Fulton County. The claim that this happened was used to destroy Rudy Giuliani and to prosecute a number of others who questioned the results of that election. In the famous telephone call with Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, the phone call that was noted by those in the Congress that they tried to raise during the impeachment, if one would listen to the entire phone call, and it's not just the president and Raffensperger post-election, there are 7 attorneys on the call with them. Trump does not say, in context, he says, find me 12,000 votes. What he says is, the margin right now is 12,000 votes, but you have counted at least 351 votes in Fulton County that are illegal. Once you throw them out, I would win this contest, which turns out to be true. But this is really just the beginning, because President Trump has authorized and Susie Wiles has organized a special task force headed by the National Director of Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, to examine the integrity and security of these electronic voting machines, as well as examining the integrity of the mail-in ballot process. I have heard that they have hard evidence that these electronic voting machines, first of all, they are connected to the internet and they can be and have been manipulated. President Trump himself has alluded to the fact that he has this information.
Won in 2016 by a lot. The election was rigged in 2020. We have all the ammunition, all the stuff, and you'll see it come out. It's coming out in truckloads.
This is obviously remains to be seen, a final report, but sources tell me that they can trace some of the election interference and manipulations to machines that a company is based actually in Venezuela, machines that were used in Venezuela. There's also direct evidence of some Chinese interference. Now, it has to be more than conjecture or supposition or theory. The president wants facts, but there's growing evidence of the 2020 election and its falsity. First of all, the fact that 81 million people supposedly voted for Joe Biden. That would be roughly 7 million more than voted for Barack Obama, who was a much superior candidate. And they expect to tell us that on average in African-American precincts across the country, the most traditionally Democrat voters, although a constituency that Donald Trump made deep inroads in the 2024 election, they voted on average 20% higher for Joe Biden than they did for Barack Obama, who, whether you like him or not, is a historic figure, our first African-American president, and a much stronger candidate than Joe Biden. So the numbers really continue to defy belief. There are credible reports across the country. I think we all saw at 3 o'clock in the morning when we went to bed, Donald Trump was leading. And at precisely the same time, across at least 3 states, as many as 300,000 paper ballots mysteriously show up from nowhere and are thrown into the count. And Michigan is particularly egregious. The Republican poll watchers and the Republican officials are thrown out of the count center. The windows are boarded up so no one can see what is happening. We have video of a white van arriving with a large number of ballots and dropping them off. There is eyewitness testimony and witness testimony and video of 2 women who would later sue Rudy Giuliani successfully, removing ballots out from under a table and throwing them into the count. So this whole issue, which was used really to destroy Rudy Giuliani, a man who cannot be destroyed because he is indestructible. I've met a lot of tough guys in my day. Richard Nixon was a very tough guy, clawed his way back from political ruin and obscurity. Senator Bob Dole, who I served as a U.S. Senator from Kansas. I was a special assistant for 2 years to Senator Dole. He was a very tough guy. He was a genuine World War II hero. He'd actually been hit by a shell in Italy. It came back to the United States horrifically wounded, was told that he would never walk again, he would never feed himself again, he would never have the use of his limbs again. But through sheer perseverance and pulleys and weights and a very tough regimen, he nursed himself back to total functionality. He had a bad right arm, so when I worked for him, if he had steak, I used to have to cut it for him. He had a little trouble, buttoning all of his buttons. He couldn't tie his shoes by himself, but he wore buckle-on shoes. He was a true American hero. He would have been a great American president. He ran tragically in 1988, and he got snuffed by the Bush machine, who really had a hammer hold on the party money and the party apparatus post-Trump. By the time we nominated Bob Dole in 1996, although he put on a valiant struggle against Clinton, his time had passed. Although people don't realize, Bob Dole carried 6 more states as a non-incumbent in 1996 than George H.W. Bush did in 1992. But he is a very tough guy. But again, neither, I think, Giuliani in that same realm in terms of toughness. And this effort to destroy him over the election results, to impoverish him, to disbar him, to silence him, well, he won't be silenced. And despite his recent accident and his injuries, he continues to do a daily show. This is a reservoir of energy and patriotism that is unparalleled. So, and now he's being vindicated, and he will be vindicated further when by this report, I believe, by Tulsi Gabbard. Now, sources tell me that there are certain elements in the Central Intelligence Agency with input into this task force who may not want too close an examination of the technology that is used to manipulate elections, because there's a high probability that our own intelligence agencies have manipulated elections abroad. We know firsthand about the Ukrainian coup d'état, the color revolution orchestrated by our State Department. That is outrageous enough. We basically staged a violent coup against a duly elected president, and there's more to this record of meddling in foreign elections, which of course we have always done. When Boris Yeltsin was elected, USIA spent millions of dollars, I think, registering voters and promoting democracy in that country. So this really does remain to be seen. I'm very excited to be with you for my special Christmas show. I think we stand on the edge of something really ancient and something truly eternal. After long years we've had of noise, chaos, division, and uncertainty, we arrive, I think at last, at the quiet moment the world's been waiting for. I think one ancient preacher put it, we have come in from the stormy sea into a calm harbor. That's what I consider the holidays, a time to reflect, a time to think, a time to write, a time to think about the things you have done wrong and pledge not to do them again, to focus on the things you have done right, and to do more of them, to be reverent to God. For thousands of years, humanity cried out not for bigger government, not for stronger rulers, not for comforts, but for mercy. The prophets cried, rend the heavens and come down. Kings rose and fell. Empires came and went. Men tried power, wealth, and ideology to fill the void, but the world remains unimpressed because we are a Christian nation, and it is only through my own redemption in the blood of the cross that I'm able to be with you on the radio today and not locked up in some dank Georgia prison, or far more likely in my case, because I was sentenced to 4 years in prison, and I have a lifelong history of asthma, and the Bureau of Prisons insisted on sending me to a prison in Georgia, far from my home, where the prison officials insisted, and the Bureau of Prisons insisted, there were no COVID cases, and there was no danger. Fortunately for me, the African-American woman who was the head of the prison guards union at this particular Georgia prison saw that in the media, contacted one of my lawyers to say that there were 600 cases of COVID. There were at least 200 confirmed cases, and they were pending the results of 400 tests. So it really was a death sentence, and I thank God for saving me from the deadly snare set by Robert Mueller and Adam Schiff and the entire cabal, John Brennan, James Comey, and so on. I talked a lot about whether we're going to see justice and accountability for these people. They're the ones who keep screaming Trump is on a rampage of revenge and retribution, when in fact they just wish to avoid punishment for the fact that they broke the law and they violated the Constitution in their manic efforts to destroy Donald Trump, who has risen like a phoenix from the ashes to have a smashingly successful first year in office, where all the fundamentals have been laid down in terms of tax cuts and regulatory cuts, and soon monetary reforms, and soon a lower income tax rate to make America boom. Remember what my friend Larry Kudlow says, a rising tide lifts all boats. He is paraphrasing Jack Kemp, who was paraphrasing John F. Kennedy. Kennedy said that when he cut federal taxes across the board, Ronald Reagan cut federal taxes across the board, but neither one of them cut taxes as deeply, as extensively as President Donald Trump. And it is an absolute fact that federal revenues spike greatly after every federal income tax. Our deficits are caused not by not taxing enough. Our deficits are caused by spending too much. So the fundamentals have been laid for us to have a great year. You're listening to The Stone Zone here. I'm Roger Stone. It's Christmas, and we've got a lot more coming up, so please don't touch that dial. This is Roger Stone. The holidays are here, and it's the time of year when travel, crowds, and cold weather mean one thing. Everybody's getting sick. And in moments like this, you don't want to rely on the bureaucracy, the nonsense, or the slow-moving medical machine. You want control. You want to be prepared. You want options. That's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy, a company that actually puts you in charge of your health. You can go to allfamilypharmacy.com/stone, place your order online, and a licensed physician reviews it. Once approved, your medication ships directly to your doorstep. Fast, private, and secure. So whether you're looking for ivermectin, antibiotics, or everyday maintenance medications, All Family Pharmacy now has you covered. No waiting rooms, no runaround, no interference. This holiday season, don't gamble with your health or your family's health. Stay prepared, stay protected, stay in control. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/stone and now save 10% with code STONE10. Take charge of your health because nobody cares about your freedom more than you do.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kan du norsk?
If you used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world, with lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers. Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Spotify. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify. Rules and restrictions may apply.
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back into the Stone Zone. So we are preparing to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ our Lord. I was very candid about the fact that I had been raised as a Roman Catholic. I had my first Holy Communion at St. Aloysius Church in New Canaan, Connecticut. I was baptized at St. Mary's in Norwalk, Connecticut. I had my Holy Confirmation at St. Aloysius in New Canaan as well. But I had fallen very far from the Lord when I was a high-powered Washington power broker, political consultant, and sometime lobbyist under Reagan, and a hard-boiled political operative. But when I was targeted for destruction because I refused to testify falsely against Donald Trump, it was Franklin Graham, among others, and Charlie Kirk, and a young pastor named Randy Coggins, who all urged me to take refuge in the Lord as a vengeful federal government and a viciously partisan federal judge set about my destruction. I was never afforded a fair trial. And of course, we learned out later that the judge withheld exculpatory evidence from my defense attorneys. We asked for Robert Mueller's entire unredacted final report, which we were entitled to under federal law as a defendant. It was denied to us, but we now know why it was denied. On page 178, it specifically says that they found no evidence of Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, or any other crime on my part. The judge refused to release that. She actually said she would read the entire report in her chambers and she would give us the segments irrelevant to me. Somehow she left that section out of the meaningless stuff that she did give my lawyers. It is very much a broken system. But when I went public and said that I had been redeemed in the blood of the cross, it was very interesting because I was given the the personal Bible of the famous Christian evangelist Kim Clement. Kim Clement was a South African who had many, I won't call them visions, but God revealed a number of things to him. Kim Clement was a famous Christian musician and evangelist who foresaw the rise of Donald Trump, foresaw the effort to impeach him, which he said would fail. Also talks about the nation being saved by a simple stone. He says, a simple stone, remember that name. The analogy, of course, is to David and Goliath. So, by the way, I'm not saying that I'm a saint or that I am, I don't know whether I'm that stone. God will tell me whether I am the simple stone. But the Washington Monthly actually mocked me for my protestation of my faith, profession, I should say, of my faith. I don't really care what they think, to be honest with you. I don't really care what elitist liberals think. I only care what he thinks. Because you see, you can't fool God. God knows what's in your heart. I'm a different person than I was 15 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, and I keep trying to get better. Being a half Sicilian, the hard part is forgiving your enemies. I say forgive, but never, ever forget. That's the Italian in me. In any event, you're listening to the Stone Zone. I'm Roger Stone. We'll be back with more politics and more talk about what's important this Christmas on the other side. So whatever you do, don't go away.
Say hello to the all-new Alexa Plus and see how Alexa can do so much more for you. Need tickets to see your favorite artist? Craving your comfort restaurant? Just sit back, relax, and talk naturally. Alexa's on it. It learns your style, anticipates what's next, and makes it happen across Echo, Fire TV, and more. Learn more at Amazon.com/new Alexa.
Looking for ways to keep the kids entertained while traveling? Netflix Games lets them jump into fun, creative adventures at no extra cost. Everything's unlocked with your Netflix membership. From Paw Patrol Academy and Lego Duplo World to Barbie color creations and World of Peppa Pig. There's something for every little explorer. And you don't need Wi-Fi. Kids can play anytime, anywhere. Visit netflixfamily.com/travel tips for all your kids' holiday entertainment.
The Lincoln Wishlist sales event is happening now. Here's what's on everyone's wish list. Enjoying holiday jingles with brilliant 3D audio that surrounds you? Check. Watching snow flurries through the panoramic vista roof? Check. Packing up presents with the spacious Lincoln Splitgate? Check. Everything you want. All standard on the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV. Visit your local Lincoln retailer or learn more at Lincoln.com for exceptional offers on 2025 Lincoln vehicles today.
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back into the Stone Zone. I am your genial host, Roger Stone. We're celebrating Christmas Eve together. In our household, of course, we have the traditional Christmas dinner. But first, we have a nice pasta course, and then I make some braciole. We make some meatballs, some hot and sweet Italian sausage. Of course, we're just coming off the Feast of the Seven Fishes, a great tradition for Italian Americans and Catholics that we still observe in our home. And then later in the day, we'll get to some of the more traditional, the Christmas goose or the Christmas turkey, all of the more traditional things. I look forward to this meal and this time together. My grandson is back from Hawaii to visit and perhaps stay with us for a while and help out. So that is great to have all my family, or most of my family, together. My oldest granddaughter, who unfortunately lives very close to East Palestine, Ohio. We'll be visiting. I'm very, very excited about that. It is, when you speak of redemption, you really have to understand the swamp and the temptations of the swamp. Madison Cawthorn, a former congressman from North Carolina, now running again to get back into Congress from a seat in Florida, where he now lives in the Naples area, was very, very blunt about this. I think it's one of the reasons why he may have been defeated. A lot of special interest money came in North Carolina in an effort to silence this conservative, because he spoke openly about the drugs, the women, the men, the temptations, the decadence of Washington, and maybe a little too blunt. And I lived in that world, so I'm not ever claiming that I was a saint, but it's never too late for anybody. Anyone can repent. This is a God of forgiveness, but I hope that it is also a God of vengeance, because I do think that those who sought to destroy Donald Trump and General Flynn particularly, and their families, as well as me and many others, Mike Caputo being one, George Papadopoulos being yet another. I think these people need to be held to account, or they broke laws. Now, I was interested to see that Just the News reported that John Brennan, the former CIA director. Now, if you don't know who John Brennan is, you should know more about him. He was a CIA director under both Clinton and Bush. He was, before that, the station chief in Riyadh. As the station chief in Riyadh, he signed the visa for 4 of the men who came to the United States and were accused of the 9/11 hijacking. John Guandolo, who is a longtime counterintelligence officer, and others insist that Brennan actually converted to Wahhabism, which is a particularly virulent stream of Islamic extremism, in an elaborate ceremony in Riyadh when he was the director. Brennan, of course, got caught red-handed spying on a U.S. Senate committee that was investigating his illegal use of torture. There's a great new book out, by the way, called High Stakes Treason by my friend Eaton Trottier. High Stakes Treatment. You got to check this out. It's really how John Brennan comprised American security and made millions of dollars while doing it. So it's not just treasonous. He has also lined his pockets. John Brennan is the chief orchestrator of the Russian collusion hoax. It was really John Brennan who knew that the so-called Steele dossier, this is the famous report commissioned and paid for illegally by Hillary Clinton's campaign, the payments for it to Fusion GPS, who compiled it, and Christopher Steele, the former British intelligence agents who put this collection of lies and hearsay together. He knew that this had faulty origins. He knew that it could not be relied on as factual. Andrew Weissman, who is the de facto head of the Mueller investigation, the man who orchestrated my indictment and my arrest, he knew during his time as the special counsel or general counsel of the FBI that the Steele dossier was a fraud. Yet we now know that the FBI director, James Comey, the CIA director, John Brennan, and Robert Mueller all relied on that as the rationale for their FISA warrants to spy on President Donald Trump's campaign, which they did, and to begin this entire narrative. It was actually called the Hillary Clinton plan, and it is born in an Oval Office meeting with Barack Obama in the chair. Joe Biden is there, helpfully suggesting that maybe they could charge General Flynn with violation of the Logan Act, which is absurd because the Logan Act is a law that prohibits you from having your own personal foreign policy. You can't go out and negotiate against the interests of your own country. John Kerry, the former senator, is guilty of violating the Logan Act. Once Donald Trump ended the Iran weapons deal, he immediately flew to Iran to assure them that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden would restore that deal. That is a textbook violation of the Logan Act. Of course, John Kerry has not been prosecuted. It always kind of reminded me of Lurch. I think he was one of the worst presidential candidates in history. But one of the things that I will be praying for at Mass tonight and next Sunday is for justice and accountability. It's not revenge and retaliation. That is the battle cry of, oh, look, Trump has weaponized the criminal justice system. These people they have no self-awareness or they're so full of it their eyes are brown. It's extraordinary to watch, but as my good friend Sean Hannity says, journalism in America is dead, and he hit that on the nose. It's during this period that I love to reflect on the example of Jesus Christ. He shows us that God doesn't show up in the modern world because the modern world expects him to. Our salvation doesn't arrive through institutions or bureaucracy or elitist plans. Our salvation comes through a family, a mother, a father, a child laid not in a palace but on modest means in a manger. The creator of all things chose humility over dominance, truth over spectacle, love over coercion. Everything our culture tells us strength is found in control and power and tearing down what became. They got to a point where one could no longer say Merry Christmas. It was politically incorrect to say Merry Christmas. Donald Trump has changed all of that. We are back to wishing people Merry Christmas. That is in itself a huge assault on the politically correct and those who would literally erase our culture, erase our history, erase our Judeo-Christian values, and erase our U.S. Constitution. We're not hackable animals like they think over at the World Economic Forum. We were made in the image of God, and all of all of God's creatures, I should say, on this earth are capable of salvation and worth saving. So it's Christmas Eve. The darkness is real, but so is the light. And I tend to be an optimist. I went to the Turning Point USA America Fest 2025 in Phoenix. And it was really heartening to see 30,000 pro-Constitution, pro-freedom, pro-free speech, pro-U.S. Constitution, as I say, pro-God young people who were very, very, very engaged. And I met a lot of them. I posed for a lot of selfies, which I always do. I was going through, I guess it was National Airport then, with President Richard Nixon. I was working for him in his post-presidential years. He had been in Washington for a series of meetings. He would take a suite at One Washington Circle, which is a very low visibility but very nice hotel. He would take a suite, and congressmen and senators and other cabinet members, both Republicans and Democrats, would come in for talks with the old man. Tony Coelho, who was a Democrat leader from Northern California, very powerful House Democrat, among those who came by for foreign policy advice. Senator Bob Dole, Senator Howard Baker, but many in the administration would quietly come by. So Nixon and I were leaving to fly back to New York. I was carrying his briefcase through National Airport. And these are the days before you had TSA, so it was the old Eastern Shuttle. You just walked up and you bought your ticket right there. If a plane was full, they theoretically rolled out yet another plane. They flew on the hour. Eastern Airlines would later be bought by Donald Trump and become Trump Airlines, and it made him quite a pretty penny before he ultimately sold it. Anyway, a very large woman stepped up to us and said, "Oh, Mr. Nixon, you are my favorite president. I love you. Can I get your autograph?" And they were calling our plane. I'm starting to sweat because I know we're late for the gate and we're supposed to be boarding. But Nixon orders me to put down his briefcase, and he has an engaging conversation with this woman. He asks her where she's from. She says she's from Iowa. That she is she mentions that she's from Davenport, and Nixon says, Davenport, Iowa. I was there in 1956. I was running for vice president. I think that was the last time I was in Davenport. I spoke at a rally at this is euphemistic, but Jackson's Restaurant on Main Street. I think you were there. She says, I was there. I was in the front row. And of course, Nixon said, I knew I recognized you. And of course, I'm really beginning to sweat because I think we're going to miss our flight. Anyway, he signs her a florid autograph, and we run to make the plane, making it by seconds. And I said, Mr. President, why did you stop and talk to that woman? And when we almost missed this flight, and he said, never, ever turn down a request for an autograph, because if you do, when they go back to Pocatello, they tell all of their friends, boy, I met that Richard Nixon, and he is really one big a-hole. So I've always taken that to heart when people ask me for an autograph or a selfie, and it happens almost every day. I have as many detractors, of course, who want to call me names, but you kind of get used to that. Goes with the territory. Often have to travel with paid security, which is unfortunate, but the left has become increasingly unhinged in this country. And there are elements, as we can see, Antifa, BLM, many of them funded by our own tax dollars, as it turns out, who are preparing to promulgate for violence. Like General Flynn, I'm very concerned when 6 former intelligence assets who happen to also be veterans begin telling our men and women in uniform serving in the military that they should not and don't have to obey orders from the commander-in-chief. That is treasonous, in my opinion, but is an effort to remove civilian control from our government. It's not coincidental that the senator here suggests that a National Guardsman will be shot. Senator Slotkin from Michigan predicts that a National Guardsman will be shot and killed, and then 2 weeks later, quite sadly, that exact thing happens in D.C., where once again crime rates continue to go down as the president has deployed the National Guard. It remains to be seen. Now we have a new decision by a federal judge saying that the president's decision to deploy the National Guard in Chicago is illegal. This is once again liberal, authoritarian judges overreaching their authority to retard the efforts by the executive branch to fulfill their responsibilities. This court ruling, this is a Supreme Court ruling, which I believe is technically wrong. Liberals complain constantly the court's too conservative. I think the court on many occasions is too liberal. In the meantime, over at Politico, which, by the way, is not a news organization or a journalistic operation, it's essentially talking heads and a mouthpiece for the radical left and the Democrats. They've got their knickers in a twist because they say that conservatives are taking over Christmas. We'll find out more about that on the other side. You're listening to The Stone Zone. I'm Roger Stone. Please don't go away.
Rated E for everyone. Includes in-game purchases. Includes random items. EA Sports FC 26 is here. Play your way this holiday season with an overhauled gameplay experience powered by community feedback. Enjoy festive upgrades in Ultimate Team with Winter Wildcards. Take on holiday-themed challenges and manage your career, like navigating the busy Christmas period. And team up with friends and clubs with new tournaments and live events. The club is yours. Give the gift of football with EA Sports FC 26.
A message from McAfee.
I'd say howdy, but I'm not a real cowboy.
And I'm not a real alien.
We're deep fakes, and because of fakes like us,
it's hard to tell what's real.
Unless you have McAfee. McAfee's scam detector automatically identifies text and email scams.
And even deep fakes.
And it works everywhere, even out on the range.
Yeehaw! But you're not even a real cowboy.
If they're faking it, they're not making it past us. Get award-winning scam detection today. McAfee.com/keepitreal.
Looking for the perfect gift? Blink has you covered. With the Blink security camera, you're giving the gift of peace of mind.
A camera? Isn't that hard for them to set up?
It's simple to install anywhere, and they'll always know what's happening at home.
Okay, that's actually perfect.
Perfect indeed. Give the gift of smart security with Blink so they can check in on home from anywhere this holiday season. Shop now at Amazon.com/Blink.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day. Yeah? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Stone Zone. I'm Roger Stone on this Christmas Eve. Christmas is rapidly emerging as the new front line in Europe's culture wars, as conservative and nationalist parties push back against what they see as decades of secular erasure and cultural surrender. This has made the fake news media merchants over at Politico very nervous, as they've accused the far right of stealing Christmas. Across Europe, Christmas is being reclaimed not merely as a religious observance, but as a symbol of Western heritage, national identity, and continuity. Values that many voters believe are under sustained attack both in Europe and in this country. This debate, in my opinion, mirrors the arguments long familiar to Americans. President Trump famously declared that he had brought back saying Merry Christmas, which of course he did, as it was being replaced by the soulless, sanitized, politically correct term Happy Holidays. That same instinct is now taking root in Europe, where parties once focused narrowly on immigration or crime are increasingly beginning to defend Christian traditions as markers of civilization. They have to cheat to stop a conservative from being elected in France. They have to use a combination of lawfare and cheating. Italy has a pro-nationalist prime minister, Giorgia Meloni, who has unapologetically defended nativity scenes, crucifixes in schools, Christmas language in public life, and asked, how can my culture offend you? You have strong pro-Christian governments in Hungary, in Romania, in Poland, but it's absolutely clear that in both France and Germany, free speech, including saying great things about the tradition of Christmas, are under attack. It's interesting, in Italy, the president's party, the Brothers of Italy, has turned that message into a spectacle with a massive Christmas festival outside of Rome's Castel Sant'Angelo, complete with Santa, skating, patriotic symbolism. Similar battles over Christmas are unfolding everywhere. France's National Rally, Spain's Vox, and Germany's Alternative for Germany have all criticized the efforts to replace this Christian and Christmas imagery with some kind of vague holiday season language. We have to remember that Christianity functions as a culture. It's a shared inheritance defining who we are as a nation and where we came from. After left-wing discomfort with religion in public life, voters in Europe and in the United States are responding to leaders willing to stand up and defend our cultural traditions without apology. The nations of Europe are Christian nations at their very core, as is America. This is the common heritage, I believe, we must all defend, particularly at this time of year. Meanwhile, abortion clinic workers across the country are once again receiving an unexpected Christmas message. I love this. Not a message of protest, but a message of prayer, compassion, and an open door to a different life. This holiday season, religious sisters from across the Catholic Church have partnered with And Then There Were None, a pro-life organization that helps abortion clinic employees leave that industry and transition into life-affirming careers. Look, I was once a pro-choice, or I should say pro-legal abortion, because as a libertarian, I thought the government should not impose that decision on the individual woman. but with the birth of my first grandson, I have changed my views, and I now consider myself to be strongly pro-life. Although, like Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump, I do accept the exceptions for rape and incest. It's an issue that I have struggled with. I respect the views of those who disagree with me, but I've had my own odyssey on this issue. And I salute the fact that the new Pope, although I think he's wrong about a lot of things, has remained stoutly pro-life, something that I, as a restored Catholic, can now appreciate. It is in that keeping that I'm excited about seeing my entire family for this great Christmas gathering. And I want to wish you and your family and your loved ones and your circle the very, very best for the Christmas. Buon Natale tutti, as we say in my family. God bless you until we meet again.
Thanks for listening to The Stone Zone with Roger Stone. You can hear The Stone Zone with Roger Stone weeknights at 8 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
This is Roger Stone. The holidays are here, and it's the time of year when travel, crowds, and cold weather mean one thing. Everybody's getting sick. And in moments like this, you don't want to rely on the bureaucracy, the nonsense, or the slow-moving medical machine. You want control. You want to be prepared. You want options. That's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy, a company that actually puts you in charge of your health. You can go to allfamilypharmacy.com/stone, place your order online, and a licensed physician reviews it. Once approved, your medication ships directly to your doorstep. Fast, private, and secure. So whether you're looking for ivermectin, antibiotics, or everyday maintenance medications, All Family Pharmacy now has you covered. No waiting rooms, no runaround, no interference. This holiday season, don't gamble with your health or your family's health. Stay prepared, stay protected, stay in control. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/stone and now save 10% with code STONE10. Take charge of your health because nobody cares about your freedom more than you do.